Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. In this session, we will be setting up an Azure Virtual Machine to create a virtual environment that can support a variety of applications and services. This setup will take advantage of Azure's infrastructure, offering scalability, flexibility, and cost efficiency for your development, testing, or hosting needs. But before you begin the session, make sure you subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon so that you will never miss an update from us. First, let's start by understanding what is a virtual machine. A virtual machine or VM is essentially a computer within a computer. It's a software based emulation of a physical computer. Instead of relying on dedicated hardware, VMs run on a host system and share its resources like CPU, memory, and storage. Think of it as a flexible, isolated environment where you can install an operating system and run applications just like you would on a physical computer. Now, why is this important? VMs allows us to efficiently utilize hardware by running multiple environments on a single machine. They are especially useful in scenarios where we need to test, develop, or run multiple operating systems without having to invest in separate physical machines. When we use a VM in the cloud, like on Azure, it provides the same functionality as an on premises machine, but with added flexibility and scalability. Now that we know what a VM is, let's explore why Azure Virtual Machine are so popular and useful. Azure Virtual Machine give us the ability to run applications and workloads in the cloud without having to worry about managing physical servers. Here are a few key use cases where Azure Virtual Machine excel. The first one is development and testing. Developers can quickly spin up isolated environments to build and test applications without interfering with production systems. Once the testing is complete, the VM can be deleted, saving that save cost. Next one is hosting application. Azure virtual machines are ideal for hosting web applications, backend services, or enterprise software. They provide high availability and scalability that ensure application can handle varying levels of demand. Next is backup and disaster recovery. Organizations can use virtual machines for data backup and as parts of their disaster recovery strategy. If a primary system fails, VMs can take over quickly, minimizing downtime. Okay, big data and high performance computing. With Azure virtual machines, you can process large data sets or run resource intensive applications by choosing high performance VM sizes. Running legacy applications. Companies with older software that isn't compatible with modern systems can use Azure virtual machines to run those applications in a supported environment. The flexibility of Azure virtual machines make them a critical component of modern IT infrastructure. Whether you are a developer, IT admin, or business leader, Azure virtual machines provide the tool you need to stay agile and efficient. Okay, now let's discuss the objective of the lab. The goal here is to walk you through creating an Azure virtual machine for TechNova solution. You'll get hands-on experience with configuring the virtual machine settings and setting up networking. By the end, you will be comfortable deploying and managing virtual machines for different purposes like development, testing, or application hosting. Now let's consider a scenario. Technova solution is facing delays in development due to the high cost and time constraints. As a developer, you are tasked with setting up a secure and scalable environment for a new web application project. But relying on on-premises hardware is not a practical solution. By using Azure virtual machines, you can quickly deploy a virtual environment with the desired operating system and configuration. This allows your team to develop, test, and run applications efficiently, all while benefiting from your Azure's cost effective pay as you go model. Here are the requirements we use to create virtual machine. Now let's take a moment to pause the video and review these details as they will be used in our lab. Alright, now let's go through the detailed process of creating a virtual machine on Azure for Technova solutions. In this demonstration, we'll walk you through each step from configuring your Azure account to deploying the virtual machine. Here, I've already logged into the Azure portal at portal.azure.com using my Azure account credentials. Okay, now let's get started and create our virtual machine. So here I'll click on virtual machine. Once on the virtual machine page, I'll click the create button and select Azure Virtual Machine from the drop down menu, which will open the creation wizard where we'll begin configuring all the necessary settings for our new virtual machine. In the basic tab, start by selecting the subscription you want to use. If you are using a pay as you go model, select it from the list. Then click Create New under Resource Group and name it as Technova VMRG. A resource group helps you organize all related resources like your virtual machine, networking, and storage under one umbrella. Next, set the virtual machine name. Enter a unique name like Technova Virtual Machine to identify the virtual machine in your portal. You'll also need to choose a region for your virtual machine. Selecting a region like East US ensures your VM is located geographically close to your users or developers to reduce latency. For availability options, choose Availability Zone, which provides high availability by distributing your virtual machine across physical separate data centers within the selected region. Now I'll select Ubuntu Server as the operating system. It's a reliable and versatile choice, ideal for hosting, development, and various workloads. In the size section, click Change Size and select Standard B1S. This option provides a cost effective balance of CPU, memory, and network performance suitable for a variety of workloads. In the Administrative Account section, choose Password as the authentication type and enter admin as the username, and then create a secure password. This username and password combination will be used to access the virtual machine, so make sure to store it securely. Once the account setup is done, I'll move to the inbound port rules. Here I'll select SSH22 to enable secure remote management of the virtual machine. Alright, everything's good here, so let's jump into the disk step. For the OS disk, I'll choose Premium SSD to ensure optimal performance and reliability. We'll skip adding extra data disk for now as we are focused on setting up the virtual machine itself. Okay, now I am in the networking tab and set up the virtual network for your virtual machine. So here we'll create a new virtual network, VNet, Technova VM VNet. Use the default address space 10.1.0.0/24, which provides sufficient address space for future subnetting if needed. For the subnet, you can either use the default option or create a new one to better organize your network and manage traffic flow between resources effectively. Now make sure to enable a public IP address which will allow you to access the virtual machine over the internet. So here I'll click on create new and named as TechNova VM IP. And then for the routing preference, I will select internet to ensure the VM is accessible over the internet. After making these adjustments, I will click OK to finalize the setup. In the Monitoring tab, you can enable options like Boot Diagnostic and Azure Monitor to track the virtual machine's health and performance, but we'll leave the default settings for now. In the Advanced tab, lets you configure custom scripts and extensions which will skip for this basic setup. All the settings are configured, click Review and Create at the bottom of the page. Azure will validate your configurations to ensure everything is set up correctly. If no issues are found, click Create to deploy the virtual machine. The deployment process may take a few minutes to complete. And there we go. The deployment is complete. That's it for today. We've successfully created our virtual machine on Azure for TechNova solution. You've learned how to configure the virtual machine and set up networking. With this knowledge, you are all set to deploy and manage virtual machines for your project. Just remember to clean up your resources afterward to avoid unnecessary cost. Okay, now let's recap what we've learned today. We started by understanding what a virtual machine is and how it works. We explored some practical use case of using Azure virtual machines, and then finally we deployed an Azure virtual machine for TechNova solution, setting up a secure and scalable environment for their web application. With this, you've learned the skills to configure, deploy, and manage Azure virtual machines confidently. So that's it for today. If you are interested in diving deeper into Azure and exploring more topics, be sure to visit our website for additional resources and tutorials. Thank you for watching. If you found this session helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your colleagues or friends who might benefit. If you have any questions or suggestions for future topics, don't hesitate to leave a comment below. We truly appreciate your feedback.